Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is from a guy, he's over in the UK, over across the pond, and he shares this story about his nephew. His nephew who years ago, he really worked hard to help him out get started in life. You know, things like helping him with the right job, and obviously a house and all that, demonstrating that he is a good uncle and cares about his nephew. And you're going to see how the nephew gets involved with a very well-known carousel rider, a gal that you absolutely cannot trust, man-eater, that type of thing. And this uncle here, again, tries to help his nephew out, but instead gets an avalanche of hate, labeling him all these nasty things because he was talking about her and saying the truth about her. And not only did his ungrateful nephew come after this uncle here telling the story, but also the nephew's mother and other people. And it was a big mess. However, you're going to see that the uncle here has the last laugh. Because guess what? As things go, smart guys are right about carousel riders and users and things like that. And you're going to see things don't work out very well for the ungrateful a-hole nephew here. And let me tell you, this is a great example, guys. As you watch my channel and other good channels out there and hear these stories and learn reality and common sense, and you try to help others, whether it be people in your family or your friends, guys in particular, warn them about certain things, warn them about certain girls they may get involved with, it's very likely you're going to get a lot of backlash and anger and hate and calling you a lot of nasty things. Be aware of that. And you can try to help, and if people give you a hard time, back away. Let them fail. They make their beds, they lie, and all that. But also to the other guys out there that may have someone that has demonstrated through their actions that they care. An uncle, a grandpa, your dad, your brother, somebody that has shown that they have your best interest at heart. They're trying to help you. If they say things about a girl you're dating that you don't like, at least listen to them instead of lashing out upon them. Because, well, let me tell you, you could live to regret it big time if you don't listen to them. And just like this dumbass kid in this story here. So it's definitely a good one. But before I go into this, I got a real short story a guy sent in about this subject of girls and locker room talk and proving that girls are just like guys in that area and don't ever buy into the nonsense that it's just guys that do this whole thing. Real quick, it's pretty funny here. He says, "Hey SSM, yesterday I saw a video where you mentioned that the locker room talk of women is often worse than that of men, which reminded me of the following brief story. In the early 90s, I worked with a man who had served in the U.S. Air Force during Vietnam. I will call him James. His enlistment was for 6 years. He spent part of that time in the country in the Nam, and part of it at a military base in Taiwan. James is one of those guys for whom foreign languages came easy, and while serving in Taiwan, two things happened. He met his future wife, a Chinese gal, and he learned Mandarin. When I say he learned Mandarin, I meant he learned it. When I met him in the late 80s, he was not only fluent, but an expert. Our software company had a client in mainland China, and listening to James talk to them on the phone was nothing short of astonishing. No hesitation, no broken speech, just rapid-fire conversation that amazed everyone else in our office. Later on, two representatives of the Chinese company visited our office, and again, he spoke to them like a native. So here's the story I want to tell you. James had a meeting with the Chinese clients in San Francisco one day. The meeting was in either a public cafeteria or a restaurant, I'm not sure which. But in any case, James arrived early and took a seat at the table to wait for his clients. While he waited, two young Chinese women, early 20s, sat down near him and carried on a conversation in Mandarin while having their lunch. They obviously were not concerned that the big white guy sitting near them might overhear their conversation, so they proceeded to discuss their boyfriends. Discuss their boyfriends, huh? Ah, shocker. According to James, they got into some really gritty detail about their boyfriends that included sausage size, performance, and lots of other things that might not be allowed on YouTube. Bro, come on. You gotta share. I could find code for anything. Then James' clients arrived, he greeted them, and they all had their meeting. All of it in Mandarin. The two Chinese gals apparently turned pale as they stared at James and realized he had understood every single word they said about their boyfriends. They quickly packed up their food and what was left of their lunch and fled. That's the whole story, nothing to add, but I think it adds weight to what you say about girls and locker room talk. Even the Chinese gals do it, at least in San Francisco. Have a great day, SSM. There you go. That was many years ago, and these are Chinese gals that were over here, and it goes to show what I talk about, that all this talk, the knowledge that comes from these stories is timeless. Doesn't make a difference what time period, it's the same freaking thing, or where you are in the world. Men are men, women are women, and we all do what we do. And the whole thing about, it's been going on for years about men and locker room talk and how we should be ashamed of ourselves and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, guys say a lot of things. We do. But guess what? So do they. So do the gals. And I've said this before. I have heard girls get together, particularly if there's a couple glasses of wine involved. Holy shit, you think we're bad? Oh, they take it to a whole new level. And I also said before, guys, and I know guys don't like hearing this, but it is very likely in your life, guys, you've had girlfriends or girls that you've dated who have, in detail, told at least one of their girlfriends, if not all, how big you are down south, what you're like, what you're into in bed, your favorite position, every fucking detail you can think of. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Hopefully, if you're married, your wife has some fucking integrity and kept her mouth shut and didn't spill the beans. But then again, you never know when you first started dating and she didn't think it'd go anywhere. But anyhow, they talk too. So, proves it right there. Even on the other side of the fucking world, same damn thing. Okay, on to the main story. This guy says, Dear SSM, where do I begin? Well, I think the best place to start back in the 1990s, where a couple of friends of mine started their own quantity surveying and project management company. Let's call them Ben and Jerry. Really? Ben and Jerry? We worked together on many projects throughout the UK and the Middle East and became golf buddies. Over time, their company expanded as they became quite successful. By the 2000s, they were well known in the business and were both clients and customers to many of the firms that I'd worked with. Their main office was located in a town some way out of London. Ben and Jerry's company had grown exponentially, and they decided they were going to employ a new receptionist to take over from Jerry's mother, who had been helping out since he first started the business. Enter, well, let's call her Barbie, as she was fake and plastic. Barbie was petite, young, dark, and very well put together. She was just drop-dead gorgeous. She'd gone to one of the local colleges and trained as a beautician, whatever that is, but had been unemployed previously. She quickly became the talk of our golf days from then on. So it sounds like she's not qualified at all, trained as a beautician, but because she was young and petite and a hottie, and obviously knew how to flirt and everything, she was hired anyway. Well, let's see how this works out. I never really took to Barbie, as I found her to be very manipulative, a city gal that knew how to get to her way by leading men on, and she didn't actually do much. The guys told me that one of the married project managers had been having a fling with her for a few weeks until his wife found out. Shocker. That's how gals like this move up. But the thing is, gals like this eventually get old. And they don't look as hot anymore. And, and these guys can potentially throw away their lives or harm their businesses by hiring these bimbos. Then she was having an affair with one of the quantity surveyors, but that too didn't seem to last very long. Ben and Jerry didn't really care, as she was eye candy to clients that visited and was capable of making tea and coffee. Well, so could Mr. Belvedere make tea and coffee. You're over in the UK, so I can say Mr. Belvedere. For God's sakes. Whenever I met up with Ben and Jerry, she became a regular topic. They told me about one incident of a woman coming into their offices and attacking Barbie for trying to steal her man. Well, sounds warranted to me. It was obvious to anyone that Barbie was a woman of the world. I think you'd call her a carousel rider. In the late 2000s, my cousin Bethan contacted me about her son Declan. Their family, they live in Southern Ireland in a small town near Cork. Bethan married into a fairly well-to-do family and had 4 children, with Declan being the youngest and thickest. He is a tall and rangy, unkempt, with a beard, and looks like Billy Connolly or Bob Geldof. Declan had just graduated from university in England. Minded it took him 5 years to complete a 3-year BS degree, quantitative surveying, and that it was in a minimum grade. Bethan knew that I work as an engineer. I'd regularly run into QS firms, so she asked for some help as he wasn't getting any job offers. Oh, okay, so here we go. You want me to help this guy who is a bonehead and looks like a slob and everything when somebody more qualified and deserving can get it, but, well, you know how that works. I was happy to help. Well, I wouldn't have. as anyone would with family. Within a few days, I'd arranged for my friends Ben and Jerry to interview Declan. He was offered a position as a junior QS and started working for them and stayed with me until he could find accommodation. I put up with Declan for a few weeks, but as I was working away in Jersey at the time, we didn't meet up until weekends mostly. He seemed to enjoy his time with the company and socialized with other employees. Although Declan was not the sharpest tool in the shed, he really did put in lots of work, so my friends were very pleased with him. Okay, he's not that sharp, but at least he was making the effort and trying and putting in the hours. Fair enough. In conversations with Declan's parents, I suggested that it was an ideal time for Declan to get on the housing ladder. There had been a price fall back in around 2008 or so, and they agreed. As Declan was and is completely useless, his father Patrick visited, and we found an ideal house for him. It was a very basic, brick-built 2-bedroom terrace house that needed everything. Patrick organized a substantial down payment and a small mortgage for Declan. Then the property was gutted. I organized through one of my golf buddies to have the rubbish removed. Man, this Declan dude certainly has everybody pulling strings to help him out. You know, it says to me that this guy, what does he do for himself? Patrick and his brother Peter worked over a number of weeks creating a blank canvas to make it livable. Through work, I organized the supply and installation of a new heating system, including boiler, radiators, as well as a new kitchen and bathroom. Then I helped my electrician company completely rewire the property from the new consumer unit and new lighting throughout. Peter had his own painting and decoration firm in Dublin, so was tasked in finishing everything off. So I gotta wonder, they obviously must have got a steal of a deal on that property, because obviously it was going to cost a lot of money to gut the place and rebuild the whole place and everything like that. But there were plenty of deals around in that time period. He says, believe me, this property was stunning. Although small, it was everything a man could want, and it was about 200 yards from Ben and Jerry's office. Awesome. He doesn't need a car now. Declan moved in, and to be honest, I was glad to see the back of him, as I liked being alone and did find him to be a bit of a pain in the ass. Then one day on the golf course with Ben, he told me that Declan and Barbie were always together and had been seen out at the local pub. Uh-oh. I guess words got around that Declan has a very nice house and he's right near the office, blah, blah, blah. I thought, well, good for him, but hoped that nothing serious would come of it. Smack! Well, since you were so intent on helping this young guy out, you should have gone to him and said, stay away from her, she's fucking trouble. However, within a few weeks, I heard that Barbie had moved into his house. Smack the Declan. Oh my God. This guy's thinking, yeah, I'm getting all the freaking pussy, all the British pussy I could ever wanted. This hot girl, she's mine, blah, blah, blah. She's only there for the resources, dude. I said, oh dear, was Declan serious? Did he lose his marbles? From here, things went downhill pretty quickly. Shocker, that's usually how things go with carousel riders and Tinderellas. I spoke to Bethan's his mom, about what I heard. However, to my surprise, I was called a misogynistic asshole. Actually, he writes arsehole. A misogynistic arsehole for mentioning Barbie being a man-eater or the works bicycle. Then I was completely blocked from that side of the family. Was I really that bad for mentioning what I knew? So let me get this straight. You helped their nincompoop son, Declan, get the job when he probably wouldn't have gotten otherwise, and then you helped him get that house and helped with connecting, getting the connections, getting people to get all the crap out of there, rebuild everything like that. You really helped this young guy out. Then you saw him with this bimbo who was clearly using him and uses other guys, and she moves in with him, and you tried to help let him know what's going on, and you're labeled by him and everybody else as the bad guy here, labeled as misogynistic, as an arsehole, that type of thing, and then they're going to block you. That's the thanks you get? Well, since we know how carousel riders usually operate, those that were giving you a hard time and all that, hey, fine, they got what they deserve. Now watch this. Patrick, Bethan, and Declan all blame me for trying to interfere in Declan's happiness. Happiness with a carousel rider? Are you fucking kidding me? Barbie's past was no concern to anyone. Oh, okay. From then on, I only heard about Declan from Ben and Jerry on the golf course. Within 3 months, Barbie was pregnant, and they were married in less than 6 months. Smack the Declan. Fucking idiot. But he's going to get what he deserves. I did not get invited to the wedding. No surprise there. Barbie had a daughter, and the following year Declan sold his house and they bought a large 4-bedroom home closer to Barbie's mother in a cheaper part of town. That house he all worked on and everything like that, then he sold it. As they were married, this house was also in her name. So the first house was his house in his name, but it would have been hers anyway. But now this house is in her name. Barbie's mother was a single mom, living on benefit and rented accommodation with her son. However, it turned out that the son was actually Barbie's, who she'd had when she was still a schoolgirl, and they passed him off as the mother's. Oh, so Barbie, total carousel rider, is a single MOM, but her mom's taking care of that kid. It didn't take long before they all moved in together, with dipshit Declan working around the clock to provide for everyone, as Barbie had become a stay-at-home mother. So this fool sold the house, I'm sure at a profit, that you all worked on, and now I got with her, married her, she's pregnant. By the way, she's a kid, somebody else's kid, and who knew, one can question whether this child that she had is actually his. And they're all moved in, and he's working his tail off, and they're all mooching off him. You warned him. I'd not heard about them for ages until I met Declan's uncle, Peter, while I was on holiday in Dublin, Ireland. He knew all that had been happening. Declan was totally henpecked and was completely controllable by Barbie and her mother. Peter told me a story about Barbie and her mother going on holiday together to Turkey while Declan stayed at home with the baby. Yes, what a dickhead, a complete simp. You're darn right. Sometime later I heard that Declan was living and working in Dubai, having left Ben and Jerry's company while Barbie and the family were still at home. Then in February 2024, I was at Paddington Railway Station in London, having just got off the train from Swansea, when I bumped into dipshit Declan himself. Ah, after all these years, the guy who you warned, the guy who you helped, and now his life is shit. He asked me to come and have a coffee with him and told me his own story. Now listen to this. It seems I was correct, and he apologized for him and his mother calling me an arsehole and cutting me off. He'd been taken in by Barbie and had his life shattered by her. He said he got an early flight back to Heathrow a year back and came home to find not one but 2 men living in his house. Carousel riders are the same way around the world. It turns out that one of them was the father of Barbie's son, but had been out of the picture for a while, drug offenses in prison. And the other was shagging Barbie's mom. Everyone was living there on Declan's paycheck, which was still controlled by Barbie. You know what? I don't feel bad for Declan at all. He's a fucking idiot. He was an idiot before he met Barbie. You were trying to help him out. And then what he did to you and his mom did to you? Nope. You warned him. Declan completely lost it and had a fight with Barbie's guy on the front lawn and driveway. He'd been beaten up badly and the police were called. However, when the cops arrived, Barbie and her mother stuck up for the other guy, and Declan was cautioned and told to leave. Told to leave from his house. He said he was lucky he didn't get arrested, but had to find a place to stay, ended up in a cheap hostel, and was told not to return to his own house. The following days were horrific. He didn't have full access to his own bank account, as Barbie had looked after most of the finances, which she quickly cleared out. What a pee-whip moron. This is why you don't have... You can have a joint account, guys, where you contribute some of your paycheck or business profits, even a business, and she contributes some of hers for the bills you both contribute to. The electric bill, the water bill, property taxes, whatever. That's it. The bulk of your money is in your name and your name only, as well as any credit cards and any brokerage accounts or anything like that. She drained him dry. He found a solicitor and was able to go through the divorce process and at least got some money back eventually. The outcome was that dipshit Declan lost his house. Well, he'll be able to claim half of it when his daughter comes of age. If he'd stayed in his first house, he'd been able to claim it as a premarital asset and not lose it. She probably knew what she was doing. He has to pay for the upkeep of the house, including the mortgage and utilities. He also has to pay child maintenance, even though he tells me that his daughter hates him and doesn't want anything to do with him. Obviously, her mind was poisoned against him. And on top of that, he has the pleasure of knowing that there are others enjoying his space. You warned him. You warned him. You warned his mom. You warned other people. Nope, they didn't want to hear it. Fucking moron. Declan now works a long 6-day week in Dubai to try to save for his future and still pays for Barbie, the daughter, and all the people who live in his house. He tells me he wished he'd listened to me. I do feel sorry for him, but if family can't tell you the truth, who can? He's been coming back to the UK and Ireland occasionally, but now he's hoping to move to the Philippines for a fresh start. I still don't talk to my cousin Bethan or that side of the family, but I'm not bitter. They can go fuck themselves as far as I'm concerned. Sounds like you're bitter to me, and you have a right to be. The end. So, on the one hand, no, that should not happen to any guy. No, that right? That I can say about this whole situation. But guess what? There you go. That ain't over here in the U.S. That's over in merry old England. That shouldn't happen to any guy. I mean, I'm sure any judges involved, anybody else involved in the process, the decision-making process of what became Declan's unfortunate reality, knew darn well that Barbie is a piece of shit and a cheater and a liar and a user. But at the end of the day, their law was the law, and they didn't care. So that should not happen to any guy. And this is why I do stories like this and why I have this channel to warn guys, to help guys, learn from others' mistakes. But personally, do I feel bad for Declan? Nope. He's a fucking shit for brains. You know? He obviously was a shit for brains, and you worked hard to get him hired at that job, which if things went bad would reflect on you. You try to help him with that house, and you try to help him, warn him and the mother and all that, and look what happened. And at least I will give him this. He ran into him at the Paddington station in London. I remember going there. And at least he admitted, he apologized, and told you, I'll give him some credit there. But still, you make your bed and you lie in it. So gentlemen, remember this when you try to help others out there with the knowledge of your experience or reality. You can say your piece and try to help people out, but if they reject you, and even worse yet, yell at you, insult you and all that, not your problem. And whatever happens to them, let them freaking, it's their bed, they can lie in it. End of story. And there are a lot of people out there that just cannot accept the truth. I'm hated. I'm loathed for what I do in this channel by many, because I speak reality and common sense, the truth. You know, I've had people tell me that they don't always agree with what I say, but they acknowledge that a lot of it is the truth. It's common sense and all that. I've had women tell me this. You know, I have people in my personal life that they don't always agree with everything I say, but they say overwhelmingly they may not like it, but they understand that obviously I'm coming from the right place and I'm speaking common sense and all that. But again, as one commenter once said on my channel, common sense is not that common. So Declan, probably the best thing he could do, honestly, with this freaking mess is just, I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't blame him if he literally found someone who knows someone who knows someone who can create a whole new identity for him. Think about it. Whatever it costs to get him a new birth certificate and the equivalent of a social security number for wherever he has to be, and driver's license and passport, and start again and just completely disappear and never have to pay a dime to those fuckers again and start again somewhere over in Asia. You get the point. It would be worth every fucking penny to do that, because otherwise he's stuck paying for that asshole and all that the rest of his life, you know? And I mean, I can't believe that the daughter is actually his. I mean, I don't think anybody here believes that's actually his daughter, you know, but what a freaking mess. So guys out there, listen, for you guys that are new to the channel, or you're young and don't want to hear what your uncles or your pain-in-the-ass dads have to say, listen to them. They're trying to help you, okay? When they're trying to share experiences, it may go against your programming and the narrative, but at least listen, because otherwise you can end up like Declan here. And guys out there that want to help guys out there, that's great, but be aware you may get some serious hate coming your way for speaking the truth. But then again, people hate the truth. So there you go. Good story, bro. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. I'm sure you like the video. Share with your friends and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.